welcome Ron. Ron's with Bellevue University professor with cybersecurity, as well as the CEO and president of Cyber AAA, and he's going to be talking to us about best practices and the precautions during virtual meetings. Whether you know it or not, we're potentially exposed, and we can heed Ron's advice, just like we learned from our not so welcome visitors in our first virtual meeting. This does happen. So Ron, I'm going to turn it over to you, and thank you for being willing to present to us.
My pleasure, Jim, and thank you to the EEC for putting this on. This is the 5th of the series, so hello for people who are joining live, whether it's through Zoom or Facebook, and for those people who may be listening to this after. Again, please ask questions. You'll see that's going to be a common theme throughout my talk, is that whenever something doesn't seem right or you're not sure, it's good to ask questions. We live in a new age, and it's rapidly approached us as we're all now working remotely. I'm sitting in my home office. We're no longer needing to drive to a building and meet with people. We're doing it through Zoom. And not only through Zoom, but through GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts. Heck, even, so I'm a hacker, by the way. If you don't know, I do all this ethical hacking type of stuff. I teach it for Bellevue University. I do it for my own consulting company. But as a hacker, I'm also a little bit of a gamer, and we're even using the gaming platforms like Twitch and Mixer and Discord and Slack to hold these meetings. But how do we do it safe, secure, and sanely? I mean, the convenience is great, but we want to make sure no one is going to bomb our meetings, or we don't accidentally bomb ourselves. So I'm here just to share some tips that I've collected. Now, there's been some question. Is Zoom even safe? Debate on this. I say yes. When I was asked by Jim and Blake and Samantha, should we be using Zoom for this? I'm like, yes. Would I use Zoom for an ultra top secret meeting? I think maybe twice about it, but for general use and by taking some simple precautions I'll cover here, it is a great mechanism to get the message out and just to be able to see people during this time of social distancing. So what are some simple steps you can do to protect yourself as you're going through online meetings? Well, first of all, it's like any other big city. The internet is. It's got some wonderful museums. I mean, you can visit virtual museums. It's got all of this great educational content through YouTube and other sources. And it's a way to meet people from all over, not only the city, the state, country, but worldwide. We can all connect. You want to take some precautions, though, just like you wouldn't walk around the big city with your wallet hanging out and cash lying around. First step I recommend, and this is what was actually mentioned, Jim mentioned this, and Samantha did too, is locking your doors. So what does that mean? Well, as you're setting up the room, just like your home, you wouldn't just open your door and invite anybody in, or your office. So think about your office building. You have a foyer, right? And you'll have a receptionist. We're doing that virtually. We have a waiting room that was set up, and Samantha is an awesome receptionist, checking people in as they're coming in. Should you be coming into the room? Yeah, okay. She's letting people in or out, kind of monitoring everything. So having that waiting room. Also having a unique room number and a password. So we don't want just anyone walking into our offices, right? Our physical office building, we have key cards that we'll use to let us in specific rooms. We now do that virtually. The key card we're using is a unique room ID that you got when you registered, and there's a specific password that was set by the room host. So you should set that up as well. One other technique that could be used, I don't think we're using it here, but if you have a closed meeting, there is an option within Zoom to lock the room when you're done. So when everyone is here, there's the feature, you can look through the options to lock the room and it won't let anybody else in. And that way you don't have to worry about someone accidentally entering your room. All very simple steps. Also, for meetings like this, require that registration. You saw you had to register through Zoom. And that way it could also confirm who's coming in or out of your virtual room. Step 2, and by the way, Again, at any point you have questions, please ask. Knowing who is invited. So you want to keep things as private as you need to. Again, this is a public forum. We know the topic here is open. Really, if you think about it, anybody could potentially be recording this, right? Do we care? Not really. Anything I'm saying is open to the public, but we know who has been invited. So just be aware whether you have an open meeting or webinar, allowing those attendees to register and locking it. Step 3, sharing with care. What do I mean by that? Multiple things, actually. First of all, if you're sharing your screen, know what's on your screen. Like right now, you should be seeing the PowerPoint, and I can see exactly what I'm sharing. If I had some very proprietary client information, I would not want it up on my desktop at all, because we keep seeing this where people are accidentally sharing out confidential information through these Zoom meetings. And oh, by the way, if you did that, that is technically could be a violation of the personally identifiable information, or if you're in healthcare, protected health information. So just be aware of what's on your screen when you share it. Don't allow everyone to share too. If you noticed in this meeting, we are only allowing certain people to share their screens. And that way no one else can share their content or open their cameras. Be aware of your camera if it's on or off. Now, most cameras now have a light on that'll tell you, is it on or off? Those lights have been known to break. So always kind of think that your camera may be on. And what I will often do, and that's because I'm a paranoid cybersecurity geek, I'll block my camera. If you notice, I just went away while it's not being used. Be aware of what's behind you as well. There's a lot of funny tweets out there right now where kids are bombing meetings, not on purpose. It's just, the 2-year-old walks into the room and forgot to put on clothes. Uh-oh, and that just becomes quite an embarrassing point right there when you're hosting a meeting. Be aware of how you are being notified. For example, when I'm in meetings, I will often put my phone into airplane mode. And that way I'm not accidentally getting a call and disrupting the meeting. Other things, don't share links out to the meeting in public forums, unless it's, well, even this, what we did for you to register, we gave you the registration link, but we didn't share this Zoom room link out with any social media. This way we only had people who registered could come in. So don't share out private meetings on social media, or even be careful through email. Who could forward it? Only the host and their designees should be allowed to share screens and content, and be aware of what you have open. Be sure that it's okay for anyone to see. Tip 4, don't accept candy from strangers. Oh no, it's not Halloween, but it is almost Easter, so happy Easter to everyone who celebrates that. What do I mean? Well, if you notice, we have this really cool chat feature. What we could enable is file sharing through the chat, which could be beneficial. So say I wanted to give you all this presentation. I could put it out as a file within chat. But there's some danger with that as well. What if that file had viruses, or I was trying to bomb the meeting through a file? So I'm actually going to switch my share here because I want to show you a quick hacking tool. People love it when I give out some of my hacking tools. So one moment while I find, where is it? There we go. These are not really hacking tools. These are just basic security tools that I share with small, medium businesses. First one is being virus total. Recommend you bookmark this. So let's just say you get a file and you're not sure if it's safe or not. Does this file have a virus in it? You can upload it to Virus Total, and it'll run it against about 75 different antivirus programs. So you get that extra assurity that that file is safe or not. Or let's just say you get a web link. Is the web link going to be safe or not? You can put it in here, and it'll again tell you whether it's safe. So Virus Total is a really neat, quick little tool that I recommend a lot of people use anytime you're getting a web link or a file you're not sure of. So another quick one I like to share out with folks. Oops. It's called Have I Been Pwned? You can see the URL, have I been PWNED, and pwned, owned, is a hacker term meaning have I been compromised? So I put in my Bellevue email for this. And this is usually an eye-opener for folks. And you'll see, oh no, my Bellevue email has been compromised, because you've heard of a lot of the different breaches, right? So the breaches where my email has been compromised, you'll see on your screen, making it a little bit bigger. Actually, the information that was compromised, it's virtually public anyway. I want my students to be able to reach me, and I want people to reach me. So I'm fine with it being compromised in these places, but you can use this to check personal or business email as well. So again, these are just kind of some fun tools that I use. So let me go back to our regularly scheduled program. So that's the accepting candy from strangers, and what do you do about it? The last quick tip I have for this is trust your gut anytime something doesn't feel right. So the big problem we're having right now, and it's always been a problem, is phishing. So, you know, you get that email, hey, congratulations, we have the COVID cure. Click here to find out more. Or it's an email that looks like it's from your company saying, everyone in the company needs to be tested for coronavirus. What do you think? Is it fake or not? When in doubt, you ask. I don't know of any companies that are requiring all employees to get tested at this point. If you're within a hospital system, that could be different. Point being, when in doubt, ask. Okay, it's almost tax season. What, 1 week? Well, it is tax season, 1 week until we're supposed to file. I know there's the extensions. If you get an email from the IRS, say on the 16th, saying, ooh, you didn't file, you are in trouble, you need to pay a $300 fine, you need to pay in Bitcoin. Again, double check, ask. It's really that simple. So I work with the FBI and Department of Homeland Security as well as other sources, and they've all agreed this is a very simple technique. At this point, I'm just going to ask, are there any questions? I don't see any on the Zoom chat, but Samantha, do you see any on Facebook?
I don't believe so.
Okay, that is fine. As you have questions, you can reach out to me after. I'll provide my contact information. How are we doing on time? Doing fine. A few other quick tips I like to provide, because this can bomb your meeting, meaning it can stop your business from doing business. First of all is protecting your devices. So stay up to date on patches and updates. That's a very simple technique, whether you're using Zoom or it's the Microsoft or Mac OS operating system or even other applications you are using. So that's what I mean by protect your devices and staying up to date on the patches. And protecting your devices, know where they are. We live off of our cell phones. I'm holding up my cell phone right now. So know who has access to them. Setting browser security settings. We use the web browser to do a lot of our work now. When's the last time you've checked to see what information may be collected through the browser? And I do see a question on chat. So, are there platforms you consider safer than others for virtual meetings? No, really all of the platforms are very equivalent when it comes to security. Really is how you use it. And you need to investigate it first. Just like, would you hop into a car that you had no idea if it was safe or not? So let's just say you're looking at a Model 2000 vehicle, or you're not sure, but you just, you can kind of get your gut feeling whether it's safe or not. So like in the old days of automobiles, in old days, this is like when my mom drove. Before you started the car, you would walk around the car to check the tires, making sure everything was in place. We don't think about that anymore. We just hop in our cars and turn them on and go because we have all of the sensors running. But even those sensors, you want to look at your sensors in your car before you back out of your garage or go forward, or do the same things with your computers. Take about 30 seconds to check the settings and make sure everything looks right. And again, if you're not sure, ask. And those are the browser settings. Complex passwords. Okay, so like for this room, you had to put in a password or automatically you got it when you registered. Using those long, complex passwords whenever possible. You want to use something known as MFA, multi-factor authentication. You know, that's where you get the text. So you log in, say to your bank, and then you get the text. That's using something you have as well as something you know, your password. And that reduces the impact of phishing and business email compromise and ransomware, because ransomware and business email compromise continue to be big problems that the FBI spends a lot of time investigating. So thank you for that question, by the way. And then know what Wi-Fi you are using. Wi-Fi provides a lot of convenience, but again, I'm a hacker. I could easily compromise Wi-Fi and trick you into using my Wi-Fi that looks like it's someone else's. So again, trust but verify. Another tip that I'll often use with businesses as well is be aware, because as we're working from home, who can use your device? You might just have a family computer that you're using for work, and your kids are also using it to chat with their friends and get into their classrooms and do their homework. You want to make sure that you separate your work from your home, okay? And that's the same thing whether you have an office and your computer as well. You have to assume that if you're sharing a computer, anyone who can touch that computer could potentially gain access to any of that sensitive business information. So again, it's just like, would you allow your kids to walk around your office and allow them to go through your filing cabinets with a physical office? You don't want them doing that. And it's nothing against kids. Kids are just naturally curious, right? You want to lock your file cabinets, and the kids will try the file cabinet, right? And they'll jiggle the lock. Oh, it's locked, and they'll give up. So do the same thing with your home computers. So I see we have another question. So how about a service website that I use to keep a list of your passwords? That is a great question. So password keepers. There's LastPass or KeePass or 2 and 1Pass are all three of the most popular ones. They are good to use. Okay, I don't save my passwords in my browser generally. I do for a few sites that I don't really care about. But I do use a service like LastPass, and I have also used KeePass, where you put in a very secure front door. So it's just like you have doors in your home, the bedroom doors, you know, there's a common key. It's really not hard to pick a bedroom door lock, right? But your front door has a big secure lock on it. Same thing with LastPass and KeePass. You put a big lock on that door, and they use industry standard encryption. Yep, thank you for posting that in the chat. Blake, LastPass, KeePass, 2 recommended. I have others. I try to be neutral with what I recommend. So it's just ones that I've used successfully. Previous rules, and I'm pointing to the slide I have up, apply. If you see LastPass or KeePass has an update to their software, make sure you update it. Okay, it's like you're changing the oil in your car. You need to make sure you stay updated. Let's see, what other questions are there? Are there any others, Samantha or Blake? While we're doing that, actually, I'm going to share out one more quick. Actually, before I share that out, let me do this. Here's some resources, and I'll keep this on the screen for a minute. The EEC has this slide deck. You are free to share it out to anyone. I do use something known as Creative Commons for this. You're allowed to share this as much as you want for education purposes. It's just not commercial purpose, so you can't basically sell it. Here's the resources that I've compiled for the small businesses where I consult. SCORE, a lot of good information, as well as the National Institute of Standards and Technology has a small business center. You may not realize it, but actually NIST has been mandated by the US President and Congress to provide resources for small businesses. So they have resources. Federal Trade Commission, Small Business Association. There's one called staysafeonline.org, which has great tips for protecting your family online. I'm just going to bring that up, because that's one I basically keep almost constantly bookmarked. So let me go back. Reshare my screen. So you should see now staysafeonline.org. A lot of information, keep my business secure, keep your family secure. So if you looked at the tips I gave today, it applies for both home use and business use because the concepts are fundamentally the same. A lot of good resources. One other I will share with you is something known as the Center for Internet Security, just published today. So hot off the presses. They have a document on telework and small office network security guide available for free. I don't know about you, but I love free stuff. So please download these, look through them. As you have questions, reach out. That's what we're here for. This is what the EEC, the BBB, all these acronyms, the SBA, they're all here for. At this point, I'll share out my contact information and open the floor back up to questions. What questions do you have on this quick tips for cybersecurity and bomb-proofing your online meetings?
Samantha or
So
Winsley, do we, go ahead, Samantha.
I was gonna say, it looks like we have a quiet group today. Nothing in the chat, and it looks like nothing on Facebook.
Okay. Very good. Short and sweet then. That's how we like to do it because actually security doesn't have to take a lot of time or effort. I cover a lot of very simple ways you can keep yourself, your family, your business, and your clients safe online. At this point, I'll turn the floor back over to the EEC. I'm not sure whether it'll be Blake or Jim, but let you have at it.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your insights there, Ron, and it'll be helpful having this posted to our websites as well so people can reference it in the future. We want to thank Ron one more time for joining us today and presenting to the group. And I'd like to thank all the member organizations of the EEC for continuing to provide this content. Feel free to reach out to any of the member organizations if you do have questions, concerns, or suggestions for our ongoing programming throughout this series. Thanks to all of you, and we hope you have a very safe weekend.